Hello everybody, and welcome back to more Seaopolis 2. So in between episodes, my girlfriend got COVID, and then I also didn't get COVID, but I got sick, and my voice is now nasally, so that's what it is. And I haven't been able to record quite a bit. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode begins with the crystallizer. The crystallizer needs to take some water, which it can automatically pull directly from the sink that's above it, and then some dust, and it can turn that dust into salt. That's at least what the recipe... Okay, that's incredibly slow. Oh, you're horrendously slow. Okay. One thing that has happened also is an update, and in the shop here, we can buy a time in a bottle. Time in a bottle. Give it to me, please. There we go. So this thing just stores time. Over time, while we're AFK, doing nothing, or just playing the game, this is going to store time. And right now, it has 10 seconds. And if we right-click this, shift right-click on the machine, it put that 10 seconds onto the thing, or it didn't. Oh, maybe it doesn't work if I have something in. Why do you not work? Oh, I might need to have a minimum time of like 30 seconds, possibly, that I can get something out of it. Yeah, there we go. 30 seconds is the minimum. And it gives it 2 times speed for a little bit. We need to then make it in a salt block. There we go. We then put water and it will transform into seawater. I really didn't like the system that we had before for sifting all of the organic matters into their corresponding bits, so I tore it down. And we're gonna redo it. And it starts with separately transforming the powders. As you can see here, we have everything linked up to the storage network and doing everything through that. So we're exporting the transformation powder into the lava and turning it into pure organic matter, and doing the same for the improved, the skulking, the colorful when we get to it, and the nether when we get to it. And then over here, we're just making the salty organic matter, which has barrels sitting on top of salt blocks with water, and then you import a little bit of salt. I figured out how I can get everything automated in a kind of top to bottom way that I kind of like to do. So over here, we're turning cobblestone 2 into gravel, then we're turning gravel into sand, sand into dust, also sand into sand dust and dust. So complicated. And then here, you don't see what is happening, but gravel is being turned into the pebbles and flint. Here we take the pebbles, the flint, and the dust and turn it into the pore transformation powder. Then we do the same for improved and for the skulking. And here is going to be a spot where we're going to do the colorful transformation powder. And actually, I'm going to move this over by 1. And we're going to leave a spot for the nether transformation powder as well. Because once we get to that, we're going to be moving to refined storage. So everything here is going to be moved once again, because I like to do that. Because it's me. Over here, we're going to have a sieving operation to sieve everything, and then we're going to send everything over there to get smelted. And I hope 7 of the induction smelters that we had are going to be enough to process everything. I think they should be, because mostly they were idle the past couple days when we were working. Every so often, one of them turned on to smelt one item, and then it was idle for like 10 seconds. So I think it should be enough. I took some of the salty organic matter and put it in a regular sieve, and that turned it into ink sacs, sea pickles, kelp, seagrass, and a bunch of fish, and also glow insects. And then if you take it and put it in a waterlogged sieve, which just lovely stands in here and the water doesn't spill out, which is lovely. So that turns into fire coral, horn coral, bubble coral, tube coral, and brain coral. These 5 corals we can then right-click onto barrels of seawater, and it turns into the coral blocks. I have started sifting salty organic matter, and all of the coral bits that we get put into this ender chest, and its brother is sitting right up here, where the bits are extracted into individual drawers for all of the different coral types, and each one of them has a barrel with seawater, so we can transform all of them into the coral blocks, which can then be pulverized into the colorful transformation powder. And to get the colorful organic fluid, I had to get a little creative because the coral blocks need to have water next to them. So I put some slabs down here so the water doesn't drip down into the floor below, and the coral blocks stay. The powder needs to be inserted into a barrel with colorful organic fluid. And to get the organic fluid, we need to put coral blocks underneath the barrel, but if they don't have water, they turn into dead coral, and then it doesn't work. So I had to put in some slabs and some water underneath here, so all of these stay regular coral blocks and don't turn into the dead coral. So now we can right click the powder here and take out a colorful organic matter and toss it right in here. The next step is to start sieving all of the organic matter that we are producing, and all of the bits are gonna go into the same ender chests, and 2 of those are sitting, one beneath this drawer controller and the other one beneath that other drone controller. So you can see the coal and the ender pearls, I believe, get extracted right away, and we can add redstone dust, lapis, diamonds, prismarine shards, emeralds, I think also will go into compacting drawers, maybe even fluorite. Once everything is in the drawers, what we're left with is all of the pieces for making the ingots, which have to go into this guy over here. And I think we can fit that guy right here in the back somewhere. With access to diamonds, we can upgrade our iron meshes into diamond meshes, and then we can even go one step further and upgrade them to emerald meshes. As you can see here, we have 29,000 redstone dust, which means that our sieves have been running for a little bit while I was gone. So we can now take some redstone dust, and I believe we need to export it into barrels filled with lava, and that will in turn make us netherrack. And I can toss it in here, and that's gonna turn into a stack of netherrack fairly quickly. We then need to take that netherrack and put it through a flux hammer, and sadly it doesn't have the compressed netherrack recipes to create crushed netherrack super quickly, so it's gonna be as fast as it's gonna be unless we put in just a few upgrades. I think one of these diamond ones will do. I made some more in between episodes. So the crushed netherrack, we then take, we put it through a sieve, and then it makes nether transformation powders. So over here we have an empty sieve, and let's just toss in the crushed netherrack, and that should start getting sifted and turned into nether transformation powder, which I'm actually not gonna put into here. We're actually just gonna put this in a drawer. I have also smelted a stack of netherrack to turn it into nether bricks. And I think if we toss it in a compacting drawer, this should turn into the nether bricks automatically. And we can use those to make a magma crucible. There we go. The last thing in this chapter is to make a sea lantern. And chapter complete. The next step is to take some blocks of cured rubber, put them in our brand new magma crucible with auto input. I think it should pull them right away. And that is going to make us some refined latex, and then we need a latex processing unit, which requires a pity machine frame and some water, and I believe a refined latex bucket, which we can do like so, and latex processing unit. And with a few more machines, we now have automatic plastic. We take the blocks of cured rubber, turn them into refined latex, then it's combined with some water and some refined latex. And the water in here is actually really interesting. I have universal pipe running all around the base here. So down here, we have this crystallizer, which requires water. And that's why I have that sink back there extracting in the universal pipe to put in water. And conveniently, water is needed up top as well. So it gets extracted in the same way that it does on the bottom machine, so we get water here, which is super neat. So then we just sequential fabricator it to make dry rubber. We then smelt it and put it into a drawer, and now we have plastic. And we don't have dry rubber yet here. Haha. I have successfully completed the quest. The next item that we need is the dissolution chamber and the mob slaughter factory. I discovered a bug. The flux sieve still processes the items even though the inventory below it is full. So this is just wasting crushed netherrack, which is kind of annoying. So I turned off the netherrack production for the moment. That's super annoying. Does it do it with the upgrades as well? It did. Well, that's annoying. Okay, I guess that's a thing. The next step is to use our mob slaughter factory to produce some liquid pink slime, and we're going to do that by killing some mobs with this machine. And first of all, we need to make a bit of an upgrade for this, because this guy only does, if we show working area, a 1x3 area. And if we make ourselves a range upgrade, this guy, and toss this in over here, the range becomes a little bit bigger, just a little bit. So it's going to cover the entirety of the mob farm, and we can even probably just put it outside. We don't really have to put it somewhere in there, even if I probably put it right over here. That's covering the entire mob farm, right? So all I have to do is inside the mob farm, we have to turn off the plates. So we're gonna just, I think we can redstone control them, or we can just break them and remove them. And all the mobs will still come over here and they'll get slaughtered by this guy. I decided to just bring the power to the machine with another magmatic dynamo instead of running a pipe down below the base. And for storage, we're gonna use some ender tanks for the meat and the pink slime, so we can actually access the pink slime and the meat in other places. Yeah, the meat is already full, but I think the machine still works even if it has the meat tank full. I think it should still kill the mobs and provide us with pink slime. Now that we have a bucket, we can take that, put it in our dissolution chamber with a little bit of glass, and that turns into pink slime. One thing that we can also craft is a meat feeder, and I think this guy can be filled with liquid meat. Yep. I don't know if there's a machine that can do this for me, or maybe we can build a bigger tank for storage of this. But it would mean that we kind of have to stop eating ratatouille because this will automatically feed us. And now that we also have more than one bucket of pink slime in here, we can make some pink slime ingots with 2 pieces of gold and 2 pieces of iron. And there we go. The pink slime ingot is then surrounded with pink slime to make pink slime blocks. And these guys we then toss underneath the colorful organic fluid, and that turns into nether organic fluid, which we can then right-click with nether transformation powder to get nether organic matter. A lot of pink slime later, we now have the last pink slime block to add over here. So we're now transforming all 3 barrels into the nether organic fluid, and we can now take the nether organic matter and start getting that sifted. And all the things that we're getting, we now can toss simply into some drawers. The inferium should be able to go in here, the nether quartz, possibly the prosperity shards, yep, and the glowstone, definitely. The soul dust and the netherite scrap are gonna go here on this side. We can then also grab a brown mushroom and red mushroom, apparently that's a quest. We can now also turn in the last few quests here for the chapter challenges. And we can collect the middle reward. Now it's time to do a whole bunch of crafting. Prosperity seeds, solium dust, regular old inferium seeds, prosperity gemstone, inferium gemstone, inferium infusion crystal, which can turn inferium essence into prudentium essence. And we can then craft also a prudentium infusion crystal, which will turn the prudentium into tertium, like so. We can combine a little bit of cobblestone and soul dust to make cobbled soulstone. We can make some prosperity ingots, craft those into solium ingots. 2 solium ingots then turn into the solium dagger, like so. We can craft 2 of the daggers into a soul extractor. The solium dagger is used to kill mobs, and then it traps their soul in a soul jar, and we can use different mob souls in soul jars. For example, let's say pigs. And then we can make ourselves some pig seeds, which can then grow pig essence, and we can craft those into pork chops, for example. And I apparently missed the recording of crafting a bit of soul sand, and I tossed it into a sieve, and we got blaze powder, nether warts, warped fungus, gas tears, and apparently no crimson fungus just yet. We have now unlocked the refined storage chapter, and it all begins with a couple fluid encapsulators. And I have suddenly run out of space for my machines, so I need to figure out somewhere to place this. I'm actually gonna temporarily set it up right over here. We need to take some sandstone and toss it in the magma crucible, and that makes molten silicon. And we can then put this in the fluid encapsulator. And just for the quest, we're gonna toss in 1 blackstone to make skystone, which is a thing needed in applied energistics, but we need to make silicon, which is made by putting prosperity nuggets into the fluid encapsulator with some molten silicon. Then we combine the silicon with prismarine shards and prismarine crystals to make processor binding. Then we have to process it in the industrial smelter by taking the binding, the ingot, and then some redstone. And we can use gold to get the improved processors, diamond to get the advanced processors, and iron is used for the basic processors. To get all of the proper processors for refined storage, you need to combine silicon and the raw processor and then redstone dust in the induction smelter. I made all 4 types of the processors and also some quartz enriched iron, which is also made in the induction smelter with 3 iron ingots and 1 piece of quartz. Which means that we can now start diving into refined storage. By crafting a machine casing, we can craft that up into a controller. We also need the disk drive. Then we're gonna make a regular old grid, turn that into a crafting grid. We can then also make a pattern grid, a couple of crafters, which then turn into a crafter manager. And the last thing that we're gonna get is also a fluid grid as well. We then need to make some storage disks, which involves these storage parts. And if I'm not mistaken with the math, it's 27 of these tier 1s to get a 64K storage. We turn those into 4K storage parts, 16K storage parts, and a 64K storage part. And we can go higher than that. You can go into storage. We should be able to find it from extra storage. We can go 256 and then all the way up to this guy, 1,000 or 16,384K storage part. I decided to make 2 more 64K storage parts so we can get a 256K storage, which is probably going to be more than we're ever going to need, but we might as well in the end upgrade it to a 16,000 storage part because we can and because it's neat. Yeah, so the next thing is to craft this into a storage disk, and we can actually start moving everything over to refined storage. We're not gonna get to switching everything over to refined storage in today's episode, but we're gonna start working on that in the next episode. And in this one, I just wanted to show you how refined storage works. It's very similar to the simple storage network. The only thing that's different is that this guy requires power, and the more stuff you add, the more power it consumes. And the controller is basically the brains of the operation. Then the disk drive is the storage of the operation of the system. And this guy can store 256,000 items specifically. So if, for example, we toss in 15 ender pearls, you can see it's going to store 15 out of 256,000. We can also link up storage drawers the same way we have to the simple storage network, except there's a different type of item called the external storage. We can import, export items out of the network the same way that you do with the simple storage network, just this guy is a little bit smarter. And that is gonna have to be it for today's episode, so I wanna thank you all so much for watching. I'm really hoping you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe to get notified of when new videos go live. You can also support me on Patreon as well if you want. And I will see you all in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye-bye.